Hi, I'm Naomi Hall, and I want to welcome you to Mindset Makeover, finding your power through fitness, nutrition, and community. Because we all kind of know what we're supposed to do when it comes to healthy living and longevity, but we struggle to do it. And I found that mindset and community are two key factors in that. So today, I have Clarissa Castillo Ramsey with me. She is an organizational psychologist, an award winning transformational coach for creatives, author, and abstract artist. Her top rated podcast, Painting Your Path, helps multi passion midlife creatives start living life on their terms. Popular episodes include Overcoming Imposter Syndrome, Creating a Life You Love, and Moving Past Perfectionism. So, Clarissa, welcome.
Thank you so much, Naomi, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I every time you and I talk, I just get more excited for this. So I have a background in education. Your background is in psychology and working with creatives. And one of the connections we have is growth mindset. So I'd love it if you told us a little bit about that and kind of what growth mindset is and kind of the difference between a growth mindset and a fixed mindset.
Yes, I'd love to. Excuse me. So this is not my work. It's the work of Dr. Carol Dweck. She has an amazing book called Mindset. So I just want to say off the bat, if you haven't read it, highly, highly recommend. And in her work, she talks about two types of mindset. And basically, when we say mindset, and I'm sure you talked about this already, Naomi, but it's just basically how do we think about ourselves? How do we think about our skills, our abilities, our talents, and our traits?
Mhm.
And so in Carol's work, she has two distinctions: a fixed mindset, which basically says, and I'll use myself as an example. I'm not good at math. I'm not good at math. That was a story. That was a mindset that I had about myself for a very long time. Math is not my strong suit. I'm so much more interested in the arts, in psychology, and other modalities, but not math. And having a fixed mindset, basically, I believed that I only had a certain capacity to learn on a subject. So that's an example of a fixed mindset, is just feeling like, okay, I am this IQ and I can't get any better. But in contrast with a growth mindset, that's like saying, so I have shifted. And the good news is, if you have a fixed mindset, a fixed perspective about a topic, you have the power to change it.
Mm.
So a growth mindset basically says, with enough time, effort, and proper feedback from appropriate parties, I can do anything. So now I tell myself, I'm getting better. I'm not saying I'm a math genius because that doesn't feel authentic, but I'm getting better at math. I'm a business owner and I have embraced that numbers is part of the game. So I can either become friends with it or continue to have that limiting fixed belief that I can't get any better. And so that's basically the difference.
Okay. So I love how you applied it to math because I think a lot of people can relate to that of like, I'm just not good at math. I've always been told I wasn't good at math. It'll never change. But we can change a fixed mindset. So it's something we have to choose, right?
Oh, 100%. 100%. And it can be as easy as that. If there's something in your life that you want to expand upon, even just telling yourself, you know what, I'm not there yet. And that's another thing that Dr. Carol Dweck talks about, is the power of the word yet.
Mm.
Just to start painting a new path, to start painting a new neural pathway, to remind yourself that it's like building a muscle.
Mm.
So if there's a topic that you're not fascinated by. If you get support, if you continue to do exercises to help build it, you definitely can improve it.
Okay. So I'm thinking people who want to get healthy. I think I'm like, oh, I can think of like all of these fixed mindsets around health, fitness, weight. I can even think of ones for myself of just like, I'm just built this way. This is just the way my body is. Oh, I have this feature from, my dad or whatever of like, this is just the way I am. But then deciding for myself, no, like I can work on that. Like
Yes.
I'm not naturally athletic. Like that's not like there are some people that just like they have the balance, the skill,
Oh,
timing,
yeah,
you know, and
me neither.
I don't, but I have worked at it because there are things that I want to do. Of like, all right, it's not my natural talent, but I'm gonna work at it. And so because of
Yes.
that, like I have become a martial artist. And
Oh, beautiful.
yeah, and I love it, and continuing to apply it there, I like there are certain things that are really hard for me, but I've really worked on that growth mindset of like, instead of it being hard, this is a challenge and I'm getting
Yes,
better at it. I try to face
that's right.
things as a challenge rather than this is just hard because
Yes.
it
Yeah,
is.
because then you're just going to reinforce that, right?
Yeah.
And I also think, and I love that you got into martial arts, and I think we also have an opportunity. So it's like going on the health track.
Mhm.
Okay, not maybe you're not a gym person. Maybe that's not your bag. But what would be fun?
Mhm.
What could you do? What could you explore? What kind of is piquing your interest
Mhm.
that you could just start out with? Maybe it's just as simple as maybe you like music. So you
Mm.
turn on some music and you just start dancing
Mhm.
by yourself. Who cares? you know? And that's moving your body.
Yeah.
That's being healthy.
Mhm.
And that can start the shift. And you never know what'll open up after that.
Mhm. Yeah. Oh, I love that because there's so many avenues to healthy movement. Like you said, like you don't have
Yes.
to go to the gym. You don't have to do a workout. Um, yeah, turning on music and dancing. Like I encourage my clients, I'm like, you need to find fun movement, something
Yes.
that you enjoy, whether it's like you said, dancing, hiking, like we can find,
Swimming.
yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like for me, I just recently, like over the past year, discovered pickleball. Everybody's talking about pickleball. And I used to play tennis as a child. And and I love pickleball because it's a shorter court, but it's still similar and it's so much fun.
Yeah. Oh, there's so many fun types of movement. And I love that you mentioned pickleball because that's something you can do with other people.
Yes.
And I think that so let's kind of veer into that of like the importance of involving people and community in your journey of like how that helps with like the growth mindset and just the enjoyment. Like why is community so important?
Yeah. I think community is so important because we humans were not meant to just be an island.
Mm,
We're wired to be in community. It's just part of who we are.
mhm,
And I think and I'm not a clinical psychologist, but there are so many studies that have just shown like what isolation
mhm,
can do to someone. I mean, I'm a super introvert,
mhm,
but I got to come out of my shell sometimes.
mhm,
And so whether it's an online community, whether it's an in-person like playing pickleball, you just get those feel good chemicals
mm,
when you're with other people.
mhm,
And I think it is so important, also for like, let's talk about the health journey,
mhm,
to just have somebody who's in your corner, who cares about you and you care about them and just wants the best for you. And so I think community also helps with accountability.
mm, mhm. Yeah. So many things that it helps with and I'm in that introvert part too of like I can kind of very much I'm good being by myself.
Me too.
I'm like, I'll go grab a cup of coffee, sit by myself in the coffee shop, Um, yeah, I'm very much okay with being alone, but I think our society and social media and culture very much cater to isolation and kind of like the isolation of being in our technology and in our phones and all of that. And we're seeing some of those negatives of the social media and the isolation
Yes.
and all that. How do we counteract that when we're kind of comfortable with like not being known necessarily? Because there's some vulnerability in community too. Like how do we address
Yes.
that piece?
Well, I think there's also so many communities out there for different types of people.
Mm, mhm,
And just a thought, not to keep you on your phone all the time, because I do think there is, such a huge benefit in going from technology detox, doing a technology detox. But also, there's so many communities that are catered for introverted people
mhm,
where you can, ex, express yourself,
mhm,
and you don't have to share what you don't want to share.
mhm,
You just don't. Like, there are some people who are very much comfortable with sharing their whole life.
mhm,
Fine. That's not you necessarily. So you get to pick and choose
mhm,
what you want to put out there.
mhm. I like that. Yeah, like you get to decide what's comfortable to share, and that can change as you get comfortable within a community
That's
too.
right. Yeah. And I also just want to say, like, because I'm a business owner and going live, doing interviews, because I also love doing summits, that was scary. That
Mm,
was super scary. But again, like keeping in with the growth mindset, knowing that going live, for example, interviewing people, it's like building a muscle.
mm,
And so maybe the first 10 times aren't your best times, but you're building that muscle. And quickly over time, you will see improvement.
mhm, mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it is scary setting up these summits. Yeah, your first time, like, starting to reach out to people and ask them
Yeah.
to participate. There's a lot of fear that you have to address and deal with there. So, yeah, it definitely you're right, it is building a muscle. My first summit was kinda scary. Like
Yes.
like, who do I ask? Like, and there's that worthiness piece of, am I even worthy of asking someone of this caliber to come on my very first summit? And, I have to say that, like, yes, you encounter the people who are like, well, do you have $30,000? Because that's my fee. And I'm like, well, that's fantastic. No.
Yeah.
And
Right.
then you have the other people at the exact same level who see you for who you are. Like, I would love to be part of it. And so
Yes.
just taking the step to say, all right, there is somebody out there that is willing to do this with me. And step out in spite of the fear of like,
Yes.
you know what? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? They say no. Like,
Right. Yeah. But you did it. And
mm,
again, that's like all part of the growth mindset. I remember the first summit. I Yeah, I was nervous. I was weird. I was nervous, but also excited.
mhm,
I asked like everybody. I reached out to Marie Forleo, if you know who that is. I reached out to all these like celebrity people. And I just thought, you know what? It was scary at first. And I kind of almost felt stupid. Like, okay, who are they going to even pay attention to me? But that really wasn't the point. It was just the exercise of feeling the fear and doing it anyway. For those of you who remember that book. Um, yeah, and you get so much out of it just by taking that little action.
mhm. Yeah, I love that. Feel the fear and do it anyway. It like when I started to address the fear of like what's really going to happen if I do
Right.
this. Like, what's the worst if I send an email to someone, like you said, like a celebrity, a famous person? I'm like, what's the worst that happens? Either they say no, their publicist says no, or I get zero response. Either way, I've done something.
Right. Yeah. And I think, like bigger picture, this like mindset makeover is so needed. And just the purpose and the vision behind it, just by you doing this, is just going to call in the people who want to hear it and want to be a part of it. So
Yeah.
yeah, so kudos to you.
Thank you. Yeah. And like, I think a lot of growth mindset is putting things in perspective of kind of asking ourselves questions of like, am I really bad at math? Like, am I
Yeah,
really,
is this really true?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is this really that's such a great question to ask. Is this really true what I'm telling myself? And I love the word you used
Yes.
a little earlier. It's stories that we're telling ourselves.
Yes, 100%. There's stories we're telling ourselves, typically based on something that happened in the past.
Mhm.
And our brain is a predictor. It's going to, like, people often say, oh, we're just reacting. But like the new science says, actually, our brain is just predicting. It's predicting how to behave and how you're going to behave. Yes, based on past performance. But the good news is we can change it. We can change it. We don't have to stay in that fixed way of being.
I love that. Is like I you're in the psychology world a little bit, and so you know more than I do on this, but like neuroplasticity and the ability of our brain to change, where we used to think like the brain and the neurons and that were all pretty set. Isn't
Yes,
research starting to show that that's not true?
it's not true. Yes, and I got to share, like, I've learned this primarily through my best friend who is a therapist,
Mhm.
a clinical therapist. And I also have another book that I just want to recommend. It's called 7.5 Lessons of the Brain. And like, yes, we develop until, well, we keep on developing, but I think, if I remember this right, by like 25, we kind of, we're kind of set
Mhm.
and baked in. But the good news is, if we continue to try new things
Mhm.
and look at things, like you said, as a challenge,
Mhm.
as an adventure, as something fun, the things that seemed so difficult, we can change it over time by being in action.
It's amazing. Like the human
Yeah,
body and the brain are incredible.
yeah. And I just think, like, I think about um people who, like, people often ask me, Is it possible after 40 to do what I really want to do?" And I'm like, absolutely. There's so much evidence out there. I think of Colonel Sanders, who started Kentucky Fried Chicken. I think he was into his
Very
late
thankful for that
50s.
man.
Oh, yeah, I think he was into his late 50s when he started KFC. I think of Grandma Moses, who didn't start painting until her mid 70s. And there's people who started doing marathons in their 80s. So what we once thought was impossible, I mean, just there's so much evidence out there that we can do anything that we put our mind to.
Mhm. Wow, that's really cool. So when we look at what you're saying about like Colonel Sanders, Grandma Moses, so we take, let's say, a 60-year-old woman who really has not been athletic, doesn't move much, very sedentary life, not the greatest of nutrition, and she wants to make a change. Is there hope for her to make a change there
Oh,
and change to a
100%.
healthy lifestyle?
Yes, 100%. And and maybe it's just starting out by swapping out, like, sugars, like candy and ice cream, for fruit.
Mm,
And maybe it's just adding more vegetables
mhm,
to her diet. Maybe it's just drinking more water and just taking those little steps.
mhm.
Those little steps. I think sometimes we just want to discount, like, it's not happening fast enough. But if you stick with it over time, you will definitely see results.
Mhm. I love that. And I love how you said it's tiny steps. And that just made me think of like children learning to walk. We watch a
Yes.
progression with children from the rocking to the crawling to the stutter steps to stumbling and getting a couple of steps before they finally get to running. Like we don't expect them to go from rolling over to running.
Right.
And I think we expect that of ourselves when we try to make a change of like,
Yes.
been living this sedentary, unhealthy life, and I want to be fit and have, a six pack and run
Right.
a marathon next month.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's more about like, let's take some baby steps and we'll make progress. And if we want to get there, we need to give ourselves an adequate amount of time.
Yes. And I think that's just better, like in the long run. Because sure, you could fast and not eat for a week. Sure, you're gonna lose weight, but is that sustainable? And is that healthy?
Mhm,
Maybe not.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. Like we've got to work little things and those will give us great progress. Now you
Yes.
also do some work in bioenergetics. Can you tell us a little bit about
Yes.
that?
Yeah. And so I wanted to talk about this topic because we're talking about mindset.
Mhm,
And I have been in and out of therapy for over many decades, off and on, usually when I'm in some kind of life transition.
mhm,
But I noticed sometimes talk therapy just didn't quite seem to totally stick until I discovered bioenergetics. And I talked about my best friend a minute ago. She's a bioenergetic therapist. And basically, that is coupling like traditional talk therapy with body work because the mind and the body are connected. And I love that you're talking about mindset, health, and nutrition and community because it's just all part of the package. And so basically, with bioenergetics, you can just do simple exercises to help regulate your body.
mhm, mhm,
And that will in turn help regulate what you're thinking.
mhm.
So, for example, and I'm not going to stand up and I'm just going to talk through
Mhm.
two
Okay.
exercises that people can do. One is called, I think it's called pulse charge or charging up. So, this is great to do before you have to do an interview, before you have to do any public speaking, before you have an important meeting that maybe you want to elevate your energy. And basically, you have your arms lifted above your head, you're looking up slightly, and you just jump up and down and you just let out a sound. It could be ha, 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 or whatever you want to say.
Mhm.
Like, I'm powerful, or whatever
Mhm.
you want to say. And you just do that for a few minutes. You will instantly feel so much better. Your mood will be boosted.
Mm.
So try it, give it
Okay.
a whirl and see what happens. So that's one exercise. And then the another one is if maybe you're just feeling overwhelmed and you need to calm down.
Mhm.
This other one is a grounding pose. And if you do yoga, you might know it as the forward fold, where you just stand up and you just fold at the waist
Mhm.
and hold your arms like this.
Mhm.
And you just let your head like relax. You just
Mhm.
shake your head, yes and no. And you just stay there for a couple of minutes, and that will quickly get you back at a more calm and grounded state of
Oh, and those are so simple.
yes.
Okay, so it's not like bioenergetic sounds like this huge thing that like I need to go somewhere and have somebody take me through it, which I'm sure I could do, but these are a couple I can just do on my own that adjust kind of my
Yes.
energy level.
Yes. 100%. 100%. And
Oh,
even if you like
mm,
YouTube bioenergetic exercises,
mhm,
you'll find a ton. And I can testify they work. So give it a try.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to try some of those because I am a big fan of breath work, which I have
Yes.
found to be so helpful with, like you said, those energy levels of whether I need to focus for an interview or I need to calm down because I'm just overwhelmed and I need to bring myself back into regulation. I found that very helpful, but these incorporate the body a little bit more in it, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna have to try some of these. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah. Try it and let me know what you think.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'd encourage our audience to try it too and let us know of like which ones did you try? Did you find some online and how did it work? I love the idea of the forward fold because I find sometimes we use that at the end of a workout. And I love
Yeah.
that it settles me. So I'm gonna have to try that one when I'm overwhelmed and see how that goes when I don't have
Yes.
like sweat dripping in my eyes and all.
Right. Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. It's great. And it's even great in the morning just to help start your day.
Yeah.
It's great in the evening just to help wind you down.
Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. And I love that first one, the pulse charge.
Pulse charging.
I
Yeah.
can see that like before speaking and getting on a platform.
Yes.
Like, and
Yeah.
I can see that people do that because when you see sometimes when you see people behind backstage, like they're doing that, like bouncing
Yeah. They're
around
moving.
and like pumping
Yes.
themselves up. And so I could see that also working like with that mid-afternoon slump,
Oh my gosh. Totally.
instead of the cup
Yes.
of coffee, a little bit of that, and
Yeah.
I can refocus and get the work done. Wow, you
Yes.
shared some fantastic information with us, and I'm going to try some of these bioenergetic exercises. I understand you have a gift for our audience, so can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. Yeah. It is my painting your path guideline framework. And basically, it's for you if you are asking yourself, am I doing what I really want to be doing in life? And I take you through a series of journal prompts and and there's just some templates that you can fill out, and at the foundation is that growth mindset where I share even more tips to help you shift if you're feeling kind of fixed, having that fixed mindset. So, other strategies to help shift you into that growth mindset.
Fantastic. I'm going to go check that out because I think I love so much the growth mindset. I mean, as I said, my background is education, and so we always focus on
Yes,
students having a growth mindset. But I think as adults, we forget that we can have a growth mindset too. It's
that's
not just
right.
about children, it's about us and kind of exploring where we can grow and change. So I'm gonna check that out because I'm sure there are areas that I am fixed and I'm kind of blind to that I need
Right.
to do some exploration there. I'm going to give you three quick questions that I didn't warn you about. They're just
Awesome.
fun to
I
end
love it.
with. So I don't always do this because sometimes I forget, but I love to do it when I remember. So, what are you watching? What are you reading? And what are you listening to?
Oh my gosh, I love these questions. What am I watching? Well, I don't I don't watch a lot of anything, but I I feel like there is something I am watching, and of course, right now I am forgetting it. So I'm going to come back to that
Okay.
one.
Yep.
But what am I reading? So I'm a multi-passionate person, and I have, found it sometimes challenging to fit into a world that tells you you have to be a specialist.
Mhm.
It's not me. So right now I'm reading Refuse to Choose by Barbara Sher.
Okay.
And it is fantastic for anybody who kind of feels like, you know what? I like doing a lot of different things, and I'm tired of people telling me I can't do it, or that I have to be this way, or that I have to be just doing this one thing. No, you don't have to. You can do it all, but you just can't do it all at the same time. But that book has just been such a game changer for me.
Mhm.
And what am I listening to? What am I listening to? So I have so many podcasts that are on rotation, but one of my favorites is Mind Your Business.
Ooh,
by James Wedmore.
okay.
And he's one of my online mentors, and I love his podcast because it really focuses on mindset and mindset and law of attraction and abundance with your business. And he does talk about strategy, but I love that it really is focusing on that inner work.
Oh, those sound fantastic. I am
Yeah.
definitely going to have to add that to my rotation of podcasts and refuse to choose. I so relate to that of like that's what business why choosing a business to do was so hard for me and I run two.
Yes. And that's totally okay. I know I have different interests too. Like I primarily work with creatives,
Mhm,
but I also have a strong desire and passion for wellness.
mhm.
And so I'm exploring getting into corporations to talk about art and creativity as like a wellness practice and also to help with productivity. So, you know, I'm just going to check it out because I'm interested and people have kind of asked me about it. So, why not?
Right? Yeah, I love that because yeah, I'm like I have a science background, I have an education background, but I didn't want to stop with just teaching. But I also have that creative side, music and art, and I love the wellness and active stuff. And like I said, I'm into martial arts now, and yeah, like you said, multi passionate. Like,
Yes. Yeah, and you can do so many beautiful things with your talents. With your talents. Yeah. Oh, and I thought about something that I am watching. I'm kind of behind the times a little bit. So my husband and I are currently catching up on the last season of Ted Lasso.
okay, so I'm more behind than you. I haven't started.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah. But
Yeah.
I love it because he's also very positive and I love his mindset.
That's what I
So
keep hearing. So I really do need to get on the Ted Lasso bandwagon. I'm one of those people that I'm like, if there's a bandwagon, I'm like, let's just wait
uh-huh.
and see what
Me
happens.
too. Me too. I'm the
But it
same.
might crash and burn. So like I'm not
Right.
so
Yes.
well, I want to thank you so much for joining us. This has been fantastic. You have given us some great things to ponder and some directions to head. So thank you so much, Clarissa.
Thanks, Naomi. It was a pleasure being here.
Yeah, you're welcome. And I want to thank our audience for joining us. And please check out the link. It's in the notes and it's also in the email to her free gift to you. So have a fantastic day.